all my renegades. Welcome back to another Renegade Society radio show. We have an amazing group of people coming on today, which I'm very excited about. And before I invite them on and sort of welcome everyone, I already invited them, but before they show up, I have some reminders for you all. So just so you know, we do have some new releases that just came out. So you can keep an eye out for those in your friendly local game store and online on the Renegade Game Studio web store. So we have the action-packed and strategic Raiders of Scythia that just came out, which you want to keep your eyes on, as well as the perfect dexterity game Cat Tower. And even more exciting, or on the same level exciting, really, because all these games are amazing, we have T-Dragon Society, Autumn Harvest, the standalone card game coming out next week. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And that, of course, is also based on the original book from Oni Press by Katie O'Neill. And just a quick reminder, we also have More Phenomenal Mondays at 6 p.m. PST here on Twitch. And we've also got Vampire Wednesdays at 8 p.m. PST. So make sure you join us for that. Before I welcome everyone on, just to let you know as well, we have a giveaway going on today for the Wardlings campaign guide. Because we are going to be talking about the marvelous world of Wardlings today and sort of escaping into that magical world, which I'm so excited about, and I hope you are too. So yes, that code word will be coming to you later, and Desiree will be providing that link in chat, so just stay tuned for that. And speaking of chat, if you would like to chat with us, if you have questions, if you have comments, please be active in chat, and we'll be holding on to those questions for later in the show for the guests that we have coming on. Yes. And speaking of our guests, let me welcome them on. So we have Ruel, who is playing Mtaru Understar in Wardlings, in the Wardlings of Rivers Hollow show, which just wrapped recently. We also have Heidi, who is playing Juniper Snowdawn, Victor, who is playing Xylo Highbranch. Oh my goodness, Xylo just cracks me up all the time, Victor. And Irene, who is playing Bryony Lubmuck, which I love that name. It's so awesome, Irene. All right, so thank you so much for joining me. We're gonna go in that order, I think, to start off, and just tell me a little bit about who you are, what you do, where we can find you, and about your character a little bit in Wardlings, in Wardlings, yeah.
Awesome. So I'm Ruel Gaviola. I played Mtaru Understar, a Midbari rogue. And before I continue, I just want to say, Amanda, that was like the best description of Cat Tower ever. The perfect,
thank you.
Amazing. That, yeah, that was awesome. So yeah, so I played a Midbari rogue, Mtaru. He's 9 years old, and he's a rogue, but he's not he's still young and learning how to be a rogue. So with my dice rolls, it was perfect. Like, it was just so much fun seeing him sort of stumble around. And his familiar was Bruno the Pug. So there's Bruno the Pug.
Nice. All right, let's go to you, Heidi.
Hi, I'm Heidi. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Happy Heidi. That's Hiiddee. Incorrect spelling of my name. I played Juniper Snowdawn, who is a snowcap cleric, and she is strong of heart, but not of physicality. So she is a sweet little wardling who just wants to make flower crowns and hang out with her friends and make sure that everybody's safe and taken care of. And that's Junie.
I love it. All right, let's go over to you, Victor.
What's up, Renegades? It's Victor. Glad to see everyone here. You can find me on the Renegade Twitch streams, playing games, having fun, being a big kid, just like I am in real life. I play Xylo Highbranch, the Squatch Bard. Yeah. And
I'm so glad you brought up the uke for it.
And Xylo is, of course, very flamboyant and all about getting into trouble inadvertently. He just likes to have fun, a little too much fun, but of course he has Carlo the Badger that tells it like it is and keeps the stories that he tells way out of proportion. He keeps it nice and streamlined and the truth.
Yeah, nice and grounded.
Right, Carlo.
Yes, keeps it real.
And finally, last but not least, we've got Irene. Hello, Irene.
Hi, I'm Irene Bonner. You can find me on the social medias, some iteration usually of Irene Coffee Bean. Always caffeinated. That's how I'm alive. I played Bryony Lubmuck, the Finfolk barbarian for Wardlings, and she's a fierce, strong Finfolk person who is not very great with words, but always ready to just jump into battle.
I feel like strong, definitely strong in battle from what I saw in the show. So yes, that's amazing. Thank you all for introducing yourselves. So to sort of get started, I wanted to know a little bit more about these characters. So I'm just wondering, how was the character creation for everyone when you went through that process? How did you find it? Sort of what inspired you to choose these characters? And, what was kind of your reaction to everybody else when we were all kind of meeting each other? What was that like? And I guess let's go backwards. Let's start with you, Irene. Back.
Good. Oh no. Yeah, it was great. Let's see. What did you even ask? When we all met each other, why? Oh no.
Yeah. When you all met each other, what was that like, and sort of what inspired you to create your character?
Yeah. Well, this was my first 5e experience, so a lot of my choices as far as what I would want my character build to be were just to make it a little easier on myself. So barbarian was a good first pick, I guess.
Yeah.
And as far as choosing backstory, that was a really fun, super cool process that was very customizable in Wordlings. So that was great. And meeting everyone was great. We had a whole session where we created, where our GM asked us questions to kind of give us some connections.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that was a super fun process. It was great to build together. So I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. Victoria is so awesome. I need to talk to her at some point in the near future too, just because I enjoyed so much of her NPC voices.
She's so amazing. Yeah.
She's really good.
She's amazing. That sounds really awesome. I also actually, when I first had my first 5e experience, played a barbarian, and they are a great starter sort of type of character if you want to jump in. So I totally agree with that. Heidi, tell me a little bit about your experience creating your character and what it was like to sort of meet everybody.
Yeah, well, meeting all the characters, doing the session 0 and starting from level 1 was new to me. I played 5e before, but we'd always start a little bit later, like at level 3 or even level 4 and stuff like that. I think people just like to jump into all the fun stuff, that you get as you level up. But starting at ground 0 at session 0, doing all of the connection questions and things like that was super fun and made me really appreciate that sort of grounding of just starting with the basics, no subclasses, just really going, who is my character, who are we as a group together, and where do I come from? And it was the first time I really got to do that, so that was really cool.
That's awesome. Yeah. Starting at level 0 is an experience, and it's experience, I think, too, because it really allows you to find out a lot about who your character is. And the thing that I love about it, I don't know how you all feel about this in the show, but I saw it even watching you all, was this real growth, from the beginning of the show to where you ended up. And it was, how many episodes was it? It was 10 episodes plus.
10 episodes.
Yeah. So 10 episodes. So it was even a short season, but it's so much growth. It was amazing. Tell me a little bit about your character, Roel. What inspired you?
Yeah, so Heidi and Irene were saying, it just that first session 0 was such a cool process, and again, shout out to Victoria Rogers, our mighty GM. She was just absolutely amazing, and she helped us, guide us through the process. And I do have the book right here, the campaign guide, folks, and in the character creation section, there's you can roll a die and pick one of your personality traits or your flaws or whatever. And she was she just broke it down like, okay, here's what your characters need, and you don't have to roll the dice. You can just pick them, right? Pick the traits that you want. I was like, okay, cool. And I sort of like for Mtaru's character, I wanted to be, a different character from the other rest of the group, just to, fill out the group, and so we could highlight different parts of the Wardlings campaign. I have very limited experience with role playing, so I just picked a rogue because I thought rogues were cool, and
rogues are cool, so you're not wrong.
Thanks. Okay, so I picked the right one. So then, with the Midbari race, like again, I had no idea what it was, but then just reading up on the character inside the campaign guide, just that particular race, they're from where the climate is hot, and I thought it was a nice contrast to Heidi's character Junie, who was from like a snow region, right? So again, you set up these relationships, and Victoria was really key in like, hey, maybe you can talk about these things in relation to characters. And I don't know if we actually we did a little bit of that, but again, it's just you just sort of go with how the story's going. You just sort of go with the flow. So yeah, that was my inspiration, was just trying to see what I can bring to the group, something a little different.
That's awesome. And I will say, I actually did feel the heat sort of from Mtaru, and I felt a little bit of that coolness from Juniper, actually, from Junie when I was watching. Mm-hmm. So I think actually, without even necessarily having to bring it up as much, there was a lot of that, and like a lot of not even necessarily opposition, but just a lot of different, like you were all such different characters, which is what I really loved about it, and watching these characters interact with each other, but then also come together so nicely. Like it was really nice. I think there was a moment in one of the episodes where I think it was I don't know if it was Irene, your character, if it was Bryony, or if it was Junie. I think it was Junie, and Mtaru like sort of stands up for, like, it was this thing where you were all kind of taking a stand, and then it came to the thing of like, oh, well, what does your character want to do? And you're like, I'm going to stand with my friends. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to try. And it was just that cute, like everyone coming together, even though you were all so different, which I really loved. It was it's just a very bright story, and a very bright season of the show.
I agree. Like I know we'll talk about this a little more, but I love those moments throughout the campaign where here's the 4 kids basically, and there are moments when we had throughout the campaign where we came together as a group, right, as the friend squad. It was just so cute, and it was just very heartwarming.
Very heartwarming. And so, Victor, tell me a little bit about Xylo and sort of what inspired you to create this character, who I feel like is I feel like it's very you as someone that knows you, but I also feel like it's just very off the wall. Like I love Xylo because Xylo's just, you kind of never know what Xylo's going to do.
Loose cannon. Xylo's definitely is loose cannon for sure. Honestly, I found the character creation stressful a little.
Oh, okay.
To say like I didn't have fun with it, but it was just like, oh, what do I do? Like, oh my God, because I too have limited experience with role playing. I've done a couple of, I guess one-shots or started campaigns, but the characters.
Did you feel a little overwhelmed? Were you like, there's just so much choice and so many things?
I just knew how much choices there were to be had. And so I kind of got in my head a little bit. I was like, oh my God. But after a while, just kind of took a beat and just relaxed and just rolled with it. And honestly, I wanted to make a character that was different than my own, because it's easy to make a character similar to your own personality, right? And I thought I was going to do that with Xylo. Apparently not. Apparently it was just me, but just like times 100 or whatever. So
like I think a little bit more I don't think you're quite as off the wall as Xylo is, but there's definitely elements of you. It's so interesting when you create characters though, because I don't know how you all feel about this, but did you all kind of feel like there were elements of yourself in your characters? Because I felt like I was getting to know you individually as well as your characters sort of through that role. So I don't know. Yeah,
I definitely think so. I mean, I think, and it's exactly what you said before, Victor, that even without trying to, like, it just ends up coming out of you, because the moments that we're having when you're playing an RPG are genuine in the moment responses. So like regardless of if you're trying to play yourself or not, the instinct that you have is going to have truth to it because it comes from you. So yeah, there were definitely parts of me that were Junie, but also Junie was like exactly what you said, like 100 times more me. If I'm like optimistic about something, she was way more helpful than I actually think I am. But maybe who I want to be. Maybe it's like who I
Right.
want to be a little bit more than who I really am. But it has to come from a genuine place.
Yeah, I agree. And I think probably what was going on for most of you is it's like an aspect of yourself that sometimes it's even an aspect you don't know that you have, because I've also been in that place of trying to create a character that's like the complete opposite of me. And no matter what I do, there's always going to be an element of that character that I'm like, oh, but that's so me. Like, that's so weirdly me. I didn't even know that was me until I played it. And then I was like, oh no, I am that. I just didn't think I was. So yeah, it's, was there anything like that surprised anybody where you found parts of yourself through the character? We're going to touch on this a little bit more later, but where you found parts of yourself through the character that you never even thought were you until you played it?
This isn't exactly like that, but my husband really loves pigs. And so that one scene where I like, this is weird. I just like an insight into my life. But the scene at the festival with the pig, I was like, as soon as I knew there was a pig, I was like, I am going to tame this pig. Like, just because I was like, I need to do this for Colin. So anyway, not exactly the answer to your question, but
I mean, that's still an element. I like that was going on in the story, and you were like, this is the moment.
Like influence your decision to interact and be like about
definitely.
It. So that's great. That's awesome.
But we also get together to play RPGs and to play through, I think, many gaming experiences for a sense of doing the things that we can't do in life, right? That's the excitement, that's the adventure. And speaking about that, what are the things that you felt like you got to escape to? What did you love about the campaign? What were some moments in Wardlings that you were just like, wow, this is so cool, and I'm so glad I get to be doing this thing? And let's start with you, Victor.
What did I love? I loved playing a kid. I loved getting into that mindset of, and actually, honestly, it took me a little bit to get into that mindset of a young child. Being an adult, we lose that. Some of us, I'm not saying all of us, some of us lose that sense of wonder and sense of curiosity, right? Sense of imagination. And to sort of tap into that again was great. I loved it,
Yeah.
So yeah.
I did too. I love how, we are all playing these kids, and for me to, try to get back to that mindset, like Victor is saying, it did take me an episode or two or maybe three to really, zero in on that. But once we got going, like there were some moments that I just remember all of us were just in the zone, like, hey, this is exactly what kids would do in this situation. Like either we're all scared of something or we're all just sort of like, running around doing funny things. I knew with Mtaru, like, he panicked a couple of times, and that's,
I loved those panic moments because they were so real.
Yeah. And part of it, that was me like, oh, what do I do in this situation? I really don't know, but we've rolled the dice things. Now, what am I going to do with this roll? And that's the beauty of RPGs. You take the roll and then you create a story from it. And that's probably the biggest thing I mean, there's so many things I loved about this campaign. Obviously, the cast was fantastic, being able to interact with you all and create this story. I mean, it was just so much fun. So wonderful.
Sounds lovely. Let's see. Heidi, what was your favorite moment? What did you love? What were the things that you were like, this is delightful?
Oh man. Well, I think one of the moments that like, and it's not just one moment, but it's a consistent moment throughout every episode that I'll never forget is just the like slightly off bling of like a chord from the ukulele. And it's just like, I think that sound will like never leave my head in a great way. It was like every time.
That was perfectly tuned.
Yes, you're right.
No, was it? Oh, fine.
There, Carlo. Thank you, Carlo.
Thank you, Carlo. But I think every time it just cued that something hilarious was going to happen. So I definitely think that was something I'll always remember.
I loved when that happened and Zyla would do that, and then I just look at everybody else in the party to be like, what's everyone's reactions? Everyone was always just like, oh no.
Like, oh, Xylo's at it again.
Here we
Great.
I need to like pull out the reins on Xylo and be like, Xylo, don't do it.
I would try and guess what Victor was about to do, and I was always wrong. Every time. I would always in my mind go, yeah, he could probably do this. No, that's not what he's gonna do. Which made it great.
There you go. I feel like you did create a character, Victor, in a way that was, I mean, even if it was a lot of you, it was very unpredictable, and I would definitely agree with that. And Irene, how about for you? What were some of the aspects of Wordlings that you really just loved?
Sure. Well, some like the part I guess I really enjoyed, like in kind of the boat race and the festival, was when we really started to like form a bond in our group. I think that's when like the friend squad thing started. Was it? Am I misremembering?
Yeah, I think you're right.
But like when we first kind of came up with that and stuff, I really enjoyed that. And so I guess what I enjoyed the most was kind of this organic like relationship building that happened over time in the campaign. Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
It was really cute to watch. It was really awesome to watch that all unfold. And what is everybody's experience with RPGs? So, Ruel, you said you're kind of new, and Victor, you're kind of new as well. So Heidi and Irene, have you both? Do you both have a lot of experience with RPGs, or what have you played?
I do not. This was my first 5e experience. Okay. I mean, I've played like video games and stuff, like RPG video games, but definitely that's not the same as this. So totally new experience for me.
All right. How about you, Heidi?
Yeah. I started playing 5e about like 2 years ago. I think it'll be 2 years like this December, I think.
Okay.
With some friends.
Right.
So I'm in a campaign with some friends, and then I've been dabbling in DMing a little bit, but that's about it for, we haven't done other RPGs. Yes, very new, brand new.
That's all right. You're doing very well. I will say I've played, I've been playing RPGs for over 10 years, and I've never GM'd anything in my life. So you're crushing it, and yeah, keep going. I love it.
That one episode where you took over for Victoria because she was out, you were fantastic. Like
on point.
You did super well, on point. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. I feel like you wouldn't even really be able to tell that it was like, I thought, I mean, I watched all of you and I thought you were all pretty comfortable. I knew because we had Ruel on the show a while ago, and he and I were talking about sort of RPGs and his experience with that. But I thought you guys looked like you knew what you were doing, and everything looked very good and very put together.
Awesome.
Thank you.
That's very kind of you.
Yeah. And when it comes to this world, then, even if it's maybe in a video game or even just in storytelling, what do you kind of think the differences are between the idea of playing a younger hero versus an adult hero? And how do you feel when it comes to, if you have played, sort of an older hero in another type of RPG setting, and then playing someone who is, this youthful, there's only kids here that are heroes. What was that experience like? And is there one that you prefer if you've sort of done both of those things? I'll start with you, Heidi. Let me know your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I think the really interesting thing about starting with a young character, whether it be in like your regular campaign or Wardlings, which is just so built for it and so amazing for playing like these young little magical friends. I think the thing about that is that you're really starting with a fresh start. A lot of times, at least for me in my experience, tragic backstories with my adult 5e characters, just the most tragic. But the interesting thing about having a fresh start and being like fresh face and young and excited and like hopeful is that when those dark things maybe do come to them, the reaction will be so much stronger. It's not, for a little kid, it's not easy to go like kill someone or even knock someone out or hurt someone. That could be totally scary and terrifying. So I found myself in one of the games when I could have attacked a goblin that was running away. I, as a player, was like, I would attack, like in a normal, in another game, I would attack that goblin running away. But Junie is more nervous about her friends and herself and doesn't want to hurt other people on purpose. So she's going to let it run away. And it was like this internal conflict for a minute before. I was just like, no, that's not what a kid is going to do for me. My kid is not going to
Yeah, for the child that you were
Yeah.
playing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's very important. And it's something that I felt actually was really impactful about watching. Because I did see these moments where you as your characters are sort of going through this, figuring out, how do I deal with this situation? Because all of this is like new and exciting to me, but scary. And I think that is a really beautiful thing to watch, because yeah, I agree. When we play RPGs that are where we're grown-ups and we're grizzled and, you know, we've been doing this for years and we've seen everything, it's like nothing phases you. It's like the most terrible thing could happen in an RPG and you're like, oh yeah, I don't even care.
Right.
I've seen worse.
Yeah, and it's very strange sometimes, and it does make you disconnected. And this Wardlings, what I enjoyed from all of you was just how invested everybody was in the story because of that, I think. So it was very interesting. Yeah, does anyone else have any opinions on sort of that disparity? Irene, do you have any opinions on the disparity between like an older character versus a younger hero and what that feels like?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, this is kind of in the same vein, but it's like as an older character, your character is pretty well established, but playing a younger character, you get to almost experience those moments that would create your character almost. So like, I don't know, like core memories or something from Inside Out. You know what I mean? Like those big events that would shape the character like as they continue. So I really like that. And I think that's an advantage to playing a kid.
Yeah,
sure.
I totally agree with that. And I totally see that. It's those choices and it's those creation moments. And it's really cool to play through a creation moment and be like, I just made like a potentially life-altering decision for my character. Not like, you know, not like me like taking out this entire army of people is going to be like, every Tuesday I do this. This is like huge. This is if I choose to, you know, let someone run away or confront that person, it's a huge consequence either way.
Yeah.
With what you do.
You know, I was just thinking that, you know, all the situations we're in, because we were kids, they would play much differently if we were adult characters. And the one that I think of immediately is early on in the campaign when Victor's character Xylo sort of has this, I guess, crush on this other girl, you know, and we're like sort of like, you know, teasing them. It's like, oh, look, so, you know, Deidre, you know, and that would totally play differently as adults, right? I don't even know it'd be a thing, right? But so to do that was so fun, and just to see the reactions between those characters. And again, that's what you do when you're kids, like, ooh, you know, so-and-so likes you or something.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun.
I mean, I think that you could still maybe do that as an adult character, but it's definitely going to be a totally different experience.
Right.
It's usually like some kind of like conversation, or I've played it before where, you know, you sense that with people in a group or some NPC that your character, some other character in your party has met, and you're like, I'm going to match make. That's what I tend to do with people. So. You don't usually, I don't get to tease people, which is, you know, can be a fun part of friendship when you're a kid.
Yeah.
Yes, that
Exactly.
Speaking of, I love that you all had these familiars, and that all of your familiars were also so different, and such different, and how they kind of acted as either these allies to your personality, sort of giving you more of something that you were already kind of on the path towards, or this foil. For your personality, of something to be kind of the opposite of you, which was really cool to see. So when we talk about the animals in the game and your familiars, and you know, even the griffins that you got to fly on, which I thought was so exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right, and we're back.
Maybe.
Are we?
Maybe.
Uh-oh.
Are we
Chat,
back?
let us know.
Look,
Are we
it
back?
says we're
Can
live.
you see Carlo? Can you see Carlo?
Oh, yes, I see us. We're back.
We're
Can you see him?
back. We're back. Sorry
Can you
about
see
that,
him?
friends. A little bit of technical difficulties. You know how it is. But yeah, so we were talking about the animal integration, the familiars, and that relationship. So yes, Victor, tell me about your very amazing relationship with Carlo and with your Griffin as well, because that was amazing and hilarious.
It's been established in the chat, and I'm gonna go with it that Carlo is the voice of reason. And
Griffin as well, because that was
so
amazing and hilarious.
it's been established in the chat, and I'm gonna go with it that Carlo is the voice of reason, and he really is. You know, he keeps me in check, don't you, Carlo? Yeah. Okay. So, as I mentioned earlier or alluded to earlier, my stories and songs, Carlo Xylo can get out of control, I guess. I'll take it too far. And he kind of reins me in a little bit. He's like, hey, I need you to quiet down. I was like, all right, fine. Ever since we met in that pit and he dug me out. You know, we've been buddies ever since. And he's not a fan of flying. So when I was on Letsy's so awesome. You know, her and I really bonded. And he was before, like, he was like on my back, like digging his claws into me, and then like he got up onto my head, so he was like woo and stuff like that while we were flying. It was great. And Letsy, you know, the initial week we were doing like loop-de-loops and stuff like that, but Carlo was not having it. He's like, what are you doing?
There's a little bit of conflict there between
exactly.
like,
But
you
Letsy
got
was
one
great.
that's reinforcing the behavior, and then one that's like, stop that.
Yeah.
Carlo.
But yeah, we loved both, especially love Carlo.
Aw.
Okay.
How about everybody else? Was there anybody else that how did you guys feel about these animal relationships? Heidi, do you want to talk a little bit about your familiar actually as well?
Little honey.
So cute.
Right here. Yeah. For me, my initial idea for the character, I was like, before I knew anything else, I knew that I wanted to play a little kid in snow overalls. I just loved the imagery of like this little girl in these snowy overalls that you would wear in the snow that is no longer in the snow and just not dressed for the right. Like I always wore sweatshirts every day in Southern California as like a little kid. So I thought it was just a fun idea. So when I had that, I want a little creature that will live in my pockets. So I had to go with a little mouse. And for me, once we just started, I didn't have too many ideas of what my familiar would be like in the beginning, but as we just continued to grow, I was like, oh, they're this little sleepy mouse, like a little dormouse who just wants to be sleeping in my pockets and would come out to help me and my friends. And I think the familiars are really fun because especially as a kid, we were all playing kids who were, not all of us were away from our families, but in Rivers Hollow, that happens a lot. A lot of the kids are there by themselves. And I think it's cool to have a built-in, like, unconditional relationship with these creatures that are protecting you. I think that's really cool to build into the system to have for the character, especially when they're kids. I think that's a huge thing to have.
Yeah, it's like a security blanket as well. It's like this thing you can always come back to kind of ground yourself and feel safe.
Totally.
That's so awesome. Yeah. Does anyone else have any thoughts on their familiars or want to tell me a little bit more about that relationship?
So Bruno the pug, I you know, we have a pug named Bruno in IRL, right? In real life. And we love Bruno. And I really wanted to bring in the RPG. I just thought it'd be so much fun. And it was hilarious, you know, having a pug run around, do the zoomies everywhere and stuff. That's one thing I think I would have loved to do a little more. And again, we didn't have enough time, but just to dive into the world of our familiars a little more. I mean, Carlo was great. You know, all his appearances there. But yeah, you know, one of these days, you know, who knows, maybe Mtaru will make a return and Bruno will play a little more, be a little more involved in the adventure. Who knows? But I love the fact that I could bring in a pug into the campaign. It was so cute and so fun.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. Yeah, I think just also, were there any moments actually where your animals, where your familiars interacted with each other that were interesting or that surprised you? Did that ever happen?
I don't think we got a
No.
chance to do them with one another. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would be
It'd
interesting.
be really fun.
Maybe
Yeah.
maybe if we ever come back to that, because yeah, I'd love to see some of these, because they are also like you, they're all very unique and different. And so to see all of
Yeah.
those animals kind of come together and see what they could get up to could be quite entertaining. And we are also at the point of the show, we're about halfway, just over halfway. So I'm going to be mentioning that giveaway code word. Ooh, so you can get yourself a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Wardlings campaign guide, which Rel is.
Hold on for well. Yeah, there it is. Look
I
at
love
that.
that artwork. Like it's so pretty.
Beautiful. Yeah.
So
just
Pretty.
just-
So the code word is griffins. And we'll accept both spellings of that word because there's kind of two ways you can spell it, either the FF or the PH with the Y. So yes, griffins. So put that in the chat if you would like to be entered to win. And yes, we'll get back to that in a bit. All right. And to come back to this, speaking of these animals maybe getting together at some point and having little cute interactions, how did you feel about your interactions with each other? And was there anyone, I guess, that you felt you really worked well with, or was there anyone that you felt it was always just like so unpredictable when you got together and you never knew it was going to happen?
Feel attacked right now? I feel attacked right now.
Or it's
Not
called
necessarily just Ilo, but Irene, do you want to start about that? Do you want to tell me a little bit about the relationships that you experienced and what they were like?
Yeah. Well, I had mentioned kind of our initial relationship building, and that revealed that Mtaru and I had like a closer relationship. So I don't know, that helped, I guess. As far as, I don't know. Anytime
Were you
we
from
with
the
Xylo,
same place?
No. We just.
How'd you know each other?
Weren't we like, wasn't my family sort of an adoptive family to
Yeah.
you?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah. Since I was orphaned at a young age
Right.
and lived with the whales. These are all things that didn't come up
Whales.
Yeah.
all that often
About living
in the
with the
stream.
whales? That sounds awesome.
I know, in my
We
tell-all
got the whale
memoir.
song.
Oh, that's true. I did do the
Bridie's
Whales.
tell-all.
I would read
So-
Bryony's memoirs. I would read that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, title, Get Your Affairs in Order.
Yes.
Oh
Love it.
gosh.
Awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, but we had lots of moments where we were kind of split up in different configurations, and that was always like tons of fun to just kind of be in different pairings.
Yeah. That's one thing I really enjoyed was we did have the different pairings, and we all had individually and then as pairs as well. We all had like our moments to shine throughout the campaign. It was really neat. And I know I had moments with Bryony, I had moments with Junie, and also with Xylo, and those relationships evolved through the campaign, which was really cool to see. Early on, me and Bryony was, we had that relationship, but then it evolved into, I would be hanging out with Xylo, and then towards the end, it was me and Junie, during the final climactic battle.
Yeah,
so that was
final
was
battle.
really neat to be a part of that, just to seeing how we all evolved as children, but as characters,
Yeah, and those relationships. I feel like Victoria also did a really good job of sort of making sure that you each got some time. Like sometimes what can happen when you play an RPG is you kind of just pair up and do-si-do and away you go. And so you never really get to come back. Like you pick one person and you latch onto them, and then it's like there's a whole party here, but I'm never gonna apparently explore any other relationships.
Yeah.
So I think that is really cool that you got the opportunity to do that. Was there
Absolutely.
anyone that you felt like you really, because you all did seem to get along really well, but was there any moments where you felt like your characters were really clashing with each other, or where you felt like any discord, any moments of tension?
I personally didn't. I think that would be a really cool thing if we ever get to pick up the Friends squad again to like
Yeah.
delve into, because it was, we had this 10 episodes of single adventure. I don't think there was too much clashing. But I
Right.
think
That's nice.
that means if we continued on, that could definitely happen.
Yeah,
always,
I think that'd be a really cool, interesting thing is pick up, a year later or whatever. And you know how, kids grow up and, you get into different, you have your different interests, you change, and then you come back. It's like, oh, maybe these characters are now not really seen eye to eye anymore, So that would be interesting to go along with that.
That's that brings me actually into the next question that I was kind of going to ask you all about, which is if you could continue this journey, what are some areas that you'd love to see the characters grow into? Like, what did you feel like were the characters' strengths or weaknesses? And then where do you kind of think they'd end up? Like if we did, let's say we take like a year or a couple year break and then we pick back up together. Where do you think you'd be and what do you think you'd be working on with these characters?
Ooh, that's such a good question.
Yeah.
So like early on when we're doing our session 0, and I think it might have been mentioned early, Mtaru actually has a brother that's missing, right? And we didn't go down that path. And I think that would be, and see, that's the thing. It would change the tone, I think, of the adventure a little bit because it's a little more serious, right? Hey, this is a missing sibling. And that for this adventure, I don't think it really would have worked. And I was glad we went away from that because what we ended up with was fantastic. It was a lot of fun. So I would like to think that Mtaru, well, I would keep my fingers crossed that he's not as like clumsy anymore. He's not that bad of a rogue. Like perhaps he's improved his roguing skills, perhaps.
I feel like the great thing though is that you were like Mtaru was sort of a clumsy character, but the best thing was watching. I mean, and always I love a nat 1 as opposed to a nat 20 in any RPG because I love watching people have to roll through that and figure out like your recoveries were so great that they made it so enjoyable to watch.
Yeah. And Victoria was, again, shout out to Victoria for, guiding us through those moments. And, I loved, this is the prompt we always got. It's like, what does that look like? I love that. And I love hearing Irene, Victor, and Heidi explain, hey, this is what our nat 1 happened. Here's what our character is doing. So that was always fun to see. Yeah,
that's always a great prompt. So your character would be probably then searching for your lost brother, and hopefully less clumsy. That's the goal.
Probably not, but hey,
that's pretty good. What about yourself, Heidi? Where do you think Junie would be? What would she be up to in a year or 2 years?
Yeah, Junie, if they don't all stay together like as friends and buddies, because I think the first thing she would want to do too would be to help Mtaru find his brother. Because her big thing is that Junie always wants to help everybody. That's the big part of her character, that she's a cleric. She wants to help folks however she can. And that also being her strength is also her weakness at the same time. Because I think an interesting thing that I could learn like with her through her is that you can't help everybody and not everybody wants to be helped. And also sometimes you got to help yourself first before the folks around you. And I think those are all very like tough things to learn, but they'd be really interesting to do as an adult through a child's eyes again.
Yeah. Those are also just some big life lessons as a person, as like a journey, right? And I also love that because I think that is something that as a kid, you really go through. And it's interesting to see what kids take away from that, because there is sort of a moment in your life where you have to confront, like, am I always going to be looking out for this person no matter what? Or do I make the decision now to put myself first or not? Because all of that has consequences. That's great. And I love that. So you would be hopefully working on that conundrum of, what do I do when I kind of can't help someone?
Yeah.
Or, maybe an interesting thing too would be, what if she helped the wrong person, right?
Yeah.
What would happen there? That would be, I think that'd be a fascinating story.
These are all the conflicting stories that I think would be really cool to see with your characters, especially because I think you all want to always be so optimistic as kids. Yep. So that's the other thing is I love when you're faced with something hard and you're like, how do I stay bright through this?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Victor? Where do you think Xylo would be? What would he be up to?
Man.
Rockstar.
All right. So actually you think so. So I was thinking about this really, like, try to pay attention. Anyway, so Xylo, what's gonna happen is what I would like to see is, Xylo takes his studies more seriously because one of his, internal like goal was to become the elder of his village and actually write down the stories passed on from generation to generation versus being played through song. That's why he's a bard.
Yeah.
But he realized that he wanted like a text version of it as well. And also to become educated. So he became, I like to see him become studious as well. And, just really focus on that. And then, the tales of Xylo are just being played by other people. And then when they meet me, they're like, "You're Xylo?" And it's like, yeah. Have my glasses on and like, t-shirt up.
I love this.
Clark
But
Kent
at night, his inner rock star cannot be quenched.
Yes.
So
he goes out, he dresses way differently, does his hair differently. Nobody can recognize him. And he goes out as his secret identity, alter ego, whatever you want to call
Hannah
it.
Montana.
The Masked Singer. Hannah Montana.
He goes he goes out as he performs, of course, epic concerts and stuff like that.
Ballads.
It's only in little taverns. What are you talking about? It's epic. It's epic concerts. With his alter ego name Olix.
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 No
Okay.
one is gonna know it's Xylo.
Nice.
It's
Olix.
Yeah.
I love that. That sounds epic. And yeah, so far I'm wanting to see all these things because all these things sound great and important. And what about Bryony, Irene? What do you think? Are you going to go back to the whales or what's the...
Sure. Yeah, well, obviously we didn't explore it all that much in this arc, but since I was orphaned, I don't exactly know where I'm from. And so I imagine that's kind of the next journey would be to try and find where she's from and like her clan kind of thing. As far as like character development goes, some of you might remember Lady Dorset, my seagull attacked her and she like hit him with a staff. And at the end, she is like repentant, and I really wanted to just like skewer her, just straight up like kill her. And I was like, it was Irene like stopping Bryony. I was like, you cannot let this complete itself. So I imagine that Bryony probably becomes a little more battle hardened, a little more like kind of black and white about morality, I would say. And yeah, so I think that's kind of where her character would be going.
I think that's really cool. I like that. I think it would be interesting too if that's kind of where your character goes, and then you're maybe confronted with some of those moments that are still middling, and you have to try to then be like, ooh, which decision do I make? Which is the black and white decision here? Which is cool. Yeah, I mean, that wasn't nice to swat your seagull like that. So I think you were also kind of justified in being like, I'm gonna skewer you. I like how hard it is and ethnic. The thing I always loved about Bryony though, Bryony was like just this tough cookie. Like I was like, do not mess with Bryony. I'm scared. I love Finn folk. Like I think Finn folk is just such a cool. All of these races are really cool that you get to play in the game and really fun. I just want to see it. Yeah. All right. Well, I think for now we're gonna leave that as sort of the last question for now. We're gonna see if there's any questions in the chat for this lovely cast.
There are.
Yeah. Oh, amazing.
All right.
All right. So there are actually quite a few that came up when we started. So let's see. Question for Xylo or Victor, depending on who's going to answer this question.
Or Carlo. You never know.
Or Carlo. No, so after shaving off your beard, do you feel younger, more like Xylo, going to bust out into a song?
Well, definitely didn't know who this person was looking back at me in the mirror. That's for sure. I was like, what? Who are you? Do I feel younger? No, I feel the same. Do I look younger? Yes, I guess that's what people say. What was the last bit of it? Something about what?
Ready to bust out into song?
Bust out in
Ready
song.
to bust out into song?
Never of song. Dance though, a dance definitely.
Oh, all
but
right.
not a
You
song.
dance.
You caught me off guard there because I thought you were gonna bust out into song because you paused and then I was like, no, he's not.
I know you kind of moved like you might be reaching
Right?
for the ukulele,
Oh,
but
no.
it didn't happen.
What are you talking about?
Oh my goodness.
Awesome. So next question: how much mutton does Mtaru eat in 2 days? Do any of
Good
you
question.
like mutton in real life?
Great question. I would imagine Mtaru eats mutton. I mean, he eats it all day. I don't know how much. He likes it in different forms, like an MLT, the mutton lettuce tomato sandwich. He likes the dried mutton, sort of like
Classic.
jerky. And that's actually, thinking back during character creation, the whole mutton thing came up just because I love that movie, The Princess Bride, and for whatever reason, it was in my head that day. And there was that scene when. I think Billy Crystal's character, Miracle Max, talks about an MLT, right? A mutton lettuce tomato sandwich. And that just came to me. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll use it. And it was a fun little thing. Me personally, I don't think I've ever had mutton in real life. And so I don't know if anyone else has.
What is
No.
mutton really? Is it lamb?
Yeah, it's lamb-ish. I don't know if it's
Lamb-ish.
like, yeah, I mean, I've
I think
had
it's
lamb.
lambish.
So, yeah, it's lambish.
Lambish.
I've had lamb before. It was okay.
Is that
I've never
what
had
you,
an MLT.
Is
Yeah.
that what you call it when you're not sure what it is?
Yeah.
Lamb-ish. Yeah.
Fish.
Yeah. I think mutton is lamb. Does anyone else love lamb?
Like I've had lamb chops before. They're okay,
had
but
lamb
yeah,
before,
it's
yeah.
the flavor is a little gamey
Not too
for my taste, so it really wasn't my jam.
Okay.
Definitely Mtaru's thing. Yeah, not mine.
Not a crossover thing too well. So there you
No,
go.
no.
All right. So let's see. Do you plan to get friends or family into playing an RPG with you? So I think this is for all of you.
Good question.
I know that I don't think my like siblings and family are ready for 5e yet or an RPG yet, but I have baby niece and nephew, and when they get old enough, I'm gonna DM for them for sure.
Nice.
And I was also very excited. I found out very recently that my cousins, who live not too far away, but far enough away where I don't see them a ton, are playing D&D now. So that was very cool. So it's just kind of
Cool.
started to happen.
Yay! I love that.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I would love to. I have my nieces and nephew, and they're a little older now. But I think they might be into it, but I would love to. I would love to play. And Wardlings, I think, would be a great introduction to RPGs for them. Friends that aren't into role RPGs, I know of at least 2 of them that are just starting out now, like within this last week. So I'm excited to sort of see where they go with it. And they've been talking about, starting this game up, and I'd love to join them. So we'll see. I mean, there's more opportunities now, I think, and I'm excited about them.
I like that.
I've been toying around with the idea of introducing an RPG, like a couple of one-shots at work, because with the city, I work with people with disabilities, so it's just all imagination and all play, right? So again, nothing as complicated or nothing as intense as 5e, but just more of the lighter, especially for me to be a GM, DM, however you want to say it. It's I would need to learn it first and then teach it to
pass it on
to the participants. Yeah. So I would want toying around with the idea. Not sure if I want to dive into that just yet, but who knows?
I like it.
Awesome. All right. So if there was one thing you wish that would have happened during your story, what would that be?
One.
That's a good question too. I
Yeah.
like that.
That's a great question. Huh.
Wow. I mentioned earlier, I would have liked to seen Bruno a little more involved, somehow get in there. But yeah, maybe, again, maybe in a future adventure, we'll see Bruno again. But that's the one thing I would have hoped for, is to see Bruno involved in this particular adventure.
Yeah. It would have been cool as well to, like, especially Mtaru, your family was nearby. I think
Yeah.
you had the only family that was near us. It would have been interesting to have a story with them, if it was like to try and find, his
Oh, yeah.
brother, or just
Yeah.
like being around like these characters that are related to, it would have been just really interesting to do something
Yeah.
like that.
True.
I think
I
too,
would-
because Bryony and Mtaru have that connection even, and you both have family that you are kind of searching for. That
Yeah.
would be a cool adventure to see you all go on together as a group. I think would be
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
absolutely.
Silo would want a performance of everyone.
Xylo
With
in
all of
concert?
us?
Yes, Xylo and a friend squad on stage.
Well, didn't you kind of do that? Was it the
Yeah, right?
interpretive?
That was performance art.
That was classic.
I'm talking about like literal
Have a musical
type
episode.
stuff. Yes,
Musical
exactly.
episode. Oh my goodness. I'm living for that.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
I want the animals to also get involved. I want it to
Yeah,
be like
yeah,
an animal
totally.
jamboree.
A little honey just
Yeah.
bouncing around on drums.
You're right.
Oh, bongos.
That's such a cute idea.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Anything else from anybody before I go on to the new question? Okay. All right. So, did you all have a session for character creation, or just session 0 for lines and veils?
Yeah, we did. We had a off stream session where, especially since it was the first time I'd ever done a session 0 and done character creation physically in that way. I was always very spoiled and was able to I'm going to choose this, and this, and then my character sheet is built for me. So Victoria went over the character sheet. She went over all the things that we would need, going through each step of the creation from, race, class, backstory, background, and all that stuff. So yeah, we had an off-screen session 0 before we started too.
Mhm. And that was new to me too. The whole session, the idea of a session 0, right? And that's where we talk about lines and veils and just certain subject matter that someone might not be comfortable with. That we say, hey, no, we're not going to do that. And also, what I thought was genius was that the stoplight system, which we didn't have to use, but I just happen to have it here, where if we're okay with something that's going on, that might be interpreted as I don't know, iffy or whatever. If we're okay with it, you just do that. If we're thinking we're getting a little shady, just pause and just change the topic as we play. And if it's an X, then we just immediately stop and move on to the next topic. So I thought that was genius, and it made it a way for all of us to be comfortable with what we were going to be doing. And again, shout out to Victoria for laying down the foundation for this.
So great. I think that's so important when you're playing. So I love that you all had that and that Victoria gave you that.
Yes.
All right. So one last question here. What is your next character you are excited to make? So if you, I guess, play another either Wardlings or any other 5e, another character you might be excited to make?
I totally want to be a barbarian just based on the way Irene played Bryony. She was hilarious and just so much fun. And I want to be a barbarian. When I grow up, I want to be like Bryony.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
That's so sweet.
Yes.
Barbarians are always fun, so you won't regret that. Barbarians are
They're
good
the
times.
best.
I would
Yeah.
love
They
to
are.
do that.
They
Yeah.
are.
They're really good.
I would want to be, I don't know, someone that is a little more balanced, I guess, because Xylo had it in his mind that he was tough, taking on some fire scorpions, and he forgot that he is not tough. but he was holding his own
That's right.
for a good while.
He was committed.
And then when he
though.
came to the realization that it was like, I should probably back off. That's when things went downhill real fast. So, but yes, but a little more well-rounded. Yeah, maybe like a paladin or something. I don't know.
Nice.
Love paladins.
Yeah, I think I would try maybe a rogue or like or a character that relies a little more on magic or more on sneaking. Now that I have a feeling for how to do this, so yeah.
I like that you and Rel Irene are like, maybe we swap. Maybe
Yeah.
we
Right,
roll
yeah.
over or something.
Maybe I fall on my face in the bushes next time. Who
There you go.
knows? Oh, that was my favorite role.
That was so much fun.
So good. Yeah, I've been having an idea. It's not like firm or anything yet, but it was definitely partially inspired by Wardlings that I want a character that has like a deer, a doe companion. I don't know if she's a ranger or a wizard. So I'm still figuring that out, but that is definitely like an idea I've had that someone with like a little doe companion would be cool.
Oh.
She ride the doe?
She could.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna say
No.
I love that for a ranger. I was just like,
Yeah.
as soon as you were like maybe a ranger, I'm like, I'm already imagining like what the character looks like.
Yes,
Rangers
yeah.
are also great to play, and I feel like rangers sometimes are underutilized in 5e as
I
as a
totally
class.
agree.
Yeah.
Yes, I totally agree. I really enjoy Rangers, and I haven't played one yet, so it'd be really fun to do.
Ooh,
That and a
they're
wizard. I
fun.
haven't played a wizard. Yeah,
Oh yeah, wizards are also fun, but in
just
a
so squishy.
spookier way usually.
Squishy.
Very squishy, the most squish.
All right, so that looks like that is all the questions.
Amazing. Wow. Thank you for all those amazing questions, chat. That was, I'm going to ask you for some ideas next time because I feel like you got some really good ones. Yeah, that was awesome. That brings us pretty much to the end. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope we get to come back because I really want to see this, 1 to 2 years down the road. I think that's a cool idea for a pickup. If you do a season 2 at some point. And I think all of these ideas are awesome. And there's so many things about your characters that I want to explore and see. And yeah, thank you so much for joining me, and not just for joining me here, but for joining us on the show and sharing all of your passion and all of your creativity and just all of your like earnestness. It was so fun to watch, really, seriously. Before we head out, remind us who you are, what you do, where we can find you, and your work online. We are going to start, let's start, Heidi, you're next to me here on this, on my screen. So let's start over there with you.
Awesome. And before like going into any other stuff, thank you for having us, and thanks everybody for watching and like enjoying this journey with us, and Renegade for letting us do this. It's been so much fun. It's honestly a dream come true. It's amazing. But you can find me at Happy Heidi, HIIDEE, on Instagram and Twitter. And you can also find my podcast, The Expansion Pact, if you like RPGs and 5e and all that fun stuff. We are chatting about that. So you can check that out on wherever you can find podcasts.
Love it. All right, let's go over to you, Victor.
Woo! I am Victor Ortiz. I am one of your Renegade hosts and presenter. You can find me on the Renegade channel whenever they need me, I guess. I don't necessarily have like a social media or anything, but I do run an Instagram for a meetup that I do host. It's Game Night Hillcrest on Instagram. So if you're watching this later in the future, what's up? Hi, future. We are in the midst of the COVID pandemic, and we are staying at home. So prior to all of this, I hosted a weekly game night, and we are been posting pictures and stuff. So yeah, Game Night Hillcrest.
Love it. And Ruel, you do so many things. Tell us about the things that you do.
Thank you, Amanda. I want to thank again my fellow cast members, Amanda, Desiree, the voice of Meeple. Thank you all for this. This has been a wonderful experience, not only here today, but just throughout the campaign. My name's Ruel Gaviola. You can find me on the internet everywhere at Ruel Gaviola, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Twitch. I do play games almost every night with friends and or family. I've played games with all of these fine folk that you see on the screen right now, and that's at Ruel Gaviola on Twitch. I'm also on the boards for the American Tabletop Awards, which is going to be really interesting this year because most of us have been playing games from home. So I'm really interested to see what games are going to be nominated for 2020. And also on the board for the American Tabletop Writers Guild, or not American, the Tabletop Writers Guild. If you're ever interested in writing about games, folks, look us up. We are a resource, an online resource for would-be writers and writers who are in the industry. We have mentors available as well. So that's the tabletopwritersguild.com. And yeah, I'm also on podcasts and stuff. Just find me. You'll be able to find me. We'll talk games, folks. We'll play games. All right.
All right. And last, but of course, never least, Irene, tell us about yourself.
Okay. Well, first of all, like everyone, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure, like playing this game, and just you're all such wonderful, kind, warm, generous people. So it's been a huge blast, and I really appreciate it. I like to sit on my couch, so that's the thing about me. You can find me on all of the social medias while I'm on my couch. Sometimes I do YouTube videos where I drink coffee and talk about movies. Just go to Irene Coffee Bean anywhere, Twitch, Instagram, Twitter. I don't know. I'll be on my couch. You'll find me.
With that coffee. I like it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And yes, for just being your awesome selves. I really hope we get a season 2. I'm going to be watching it. I'm going to catch up on the little moments that I have missed. And then I'm going to be ready for that season 2 when it happens. So my fingers are crossed for everybody.
Yes.
All right. And thank you to everybody that joined us today. Thank you for all of your brilliant questions. And thank you for just being present and being active and, you know, being the bright lights that we need in the world. Just a quick little reminder to keep an eye out for those new games that we did have that just came out. So we have Raiders of Scythia, as well as that perfect cat tower. And we also are going to be having next week the new Tea Dragon Society standalone card game, Autumn Harvest, which is beautiful, and you're going to need to check it out. And as a final reminder, we are always here on Twitch. So come in, say hello, check out what we're doing. We have More Phenomenal Mondays at 6 p.m. PST, and we have Vampire Wednesdays at 8 p.m. PST. And one last time before we go away, I'm going to give you that code word so you can win that beautiful Wardlings campaign guide.
Ooh.
Pretty. Look at it. There it is.
Look at that. Look at
Ooh, so pretty. So the code word is Griffins. We will be accepting both spellings of those words. So plug that in the chat. Desiree will have the link for you there. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to Desiree for producing. Thank you to all my amazing guests. Lovely, lovely folks. And we will see you all next week. Don't forget to play your game.
Later.